when we talked to you for Score, a film music documentary, in this very room, you told us that you were interested in doing a superhero film.
Did I?
And you did. And
You did.
was,
And you mentioned, now look, there's one that you did a while ago that had a really interesting score that you had recorded with an orchestra and had kind of chopped up.
That was
and
Fox, yeah.
Had made it really
Thank
interesting.
you, Robert, for financing my crazy experimentation here. Yeah.
Which film are we talking
Elektra.
about?
It was Elektra.
Amazing. Elektra also was notable just for all of you soundtrack fans, and we may get to the soundtrack.
Oh, the soundtrack was great, yeah.
And I was played a demo by a band called Evanescence.
Oh, yeah.
And thought, this kind of fits in some
Oh,
ways.
is that? Oh, okay.
And we put the demo in called Bring Me to Life, and a whole musical package escalated. But that's right.
Now,
Elektra.
Marvel was
Jennifer
not the thing that Marvel is now.
Right, things have
back when you
changed.
did that film.
That's right.
When you came onto the project, did you have ideas ready to go? Were you itching to jump back into the superhero world, or did you start from scratch?
I had some really bad ideas ready to go. Yeah. I remember Peyton and I got very excited about, we get seduced by, I'm gesturing toward this giant modular synth here to my left. We get seduced by how awesome it is, and sometimes lose sight of what's best for the picture. And I created with him, very closely working with me, 3 or 4 pieces that were heavily electronic and what you might call glitchy, and it had all these, from a strictly, thank you. I hear a little bit of what I'm not talking about playing, which I'm very glad is what it is.
This is the opening, I believe. This is not
it's
what
the main theme, yeah. It was a great electronic musical depiction of insects. It was skittery. It had a kind of there was some custom software that I was working on that would take like one sound and using a kind of granular synthesis turn it into 500 of the same but slightly different timing and pitch, and it made it sound like a swarm of insects playing that instrument together.
Cool.
We played it for Kevin Feige, the head of Marvel, and he said, sounds great, but I don't really like it that much when I hear music that makes me think my speakers are broken. That's basically what he said. And it kind of made us laugh, and it also kind of made us realize that we'd maybe gone a little off into a science experiment and lost sight of what the actual movie was about, which was a heist movie. And it felt like it needed a little bit more of a grounded approach, and instead of crazy skittery electronic effects which really pull the ear away from the story and just sort of like, what is that I'm hearing? It was strange, and of course I love it when things sound strange, but in movie scoring sometimes you gotta pick your moments when you're going to do strange. Yeah.
Sure.
So we sort of decided to try a different approach, which was to really hook our fingers into the whole heist idea and get into like the 60s and the 70s classic heist.
I was going to say,
tropes.
This has got almost a kind of jazzy John Barry.
Exactly.
Sneaking up, almost Mancini-esque.
Little Ocean's
there.
11
Exactly.
something.
Yeah, so like bongos, alto flutes, which we're hearing now, vibes, things like that.
We're in this era now where like every comic book is being made. I had never even heard of Ant-Man, and some of these comics that are like Guardians of the Galaxy is one of the most popular movies, and then there's some Batman movies that are not doing well. Were you surprised by the success of this first film and the interest of Ant-Man versus some of these other bigger comic books that maybe aren't making it as well?
No, because Marvel is really, really, really good at making these movies.
Yeah.
And after I saw it, and I saw how funny it was and how breezy it was, after the heaviness of the movie that had come just before it, which I think was the second part of the first Avengers two-parter, which was really heavy and
more serious.
More serious. I don't even want to say it was like a downer, because there were certainly moments of levity in it, but it was like big end-of-the-world stuff going on. And then for the next movie that Marvel comes out with is just a guy trying to see his daughter, basically.
Nice.
And by the way, he's also like this goofy, pretty good thief, and so that really gave us an opportunity for the music to have the same kind of levity. And the movie as a whole, I think, was a breath of fresh air for people after was Age of Ultron, I think, maybe. I don't know if I'm getting that right. And now we're kind of setting up for the same thing. You know, we just had Thanos
another
do his
big
thing
one
at the end of that movie, and here we are, you know, with another Ant-Man. It's going to also be a much smaller world, a much smaller, not a smaller story, but a story that is more about personal relationships and less about saving the world.